All right, well, thank you for being here, everyone. Thanks for taking the time today. If you have any questions, comments, please drop those into the chat or the question box. We definitely want to keep this interactive. We're going to have polls throughout the seminar, the session, so we want to hear from you for sure. So in today's session, we're going to talk about the current struggles that employees are facing and what they're looking to their employers to help them with or to provide. And I feel like every time we have a session, we have a webinar, there's more things, right? There's more things happening in the world. There are more struggles or new struggles. So we definitely have a lot to talk about. But really, it's about what the role employers play in offering these solutions, because these solutions are certainly different than what they were 3 years ago or 5 years ago, right? So I am so excited and honored to present Melissa Migliaro to join us today. Melissa, I was thinking this morning, we've known each other for over 10 years and have been working together for over 10 years, which is crazy. I was pregnant with my first when we first met, but I'm going to do a little bio of Melissa before we get started. Melissa brings over 14 years of a diverse background that has prepared her to serve as a resourceful independent consultant in the Pittsburgh area. She combines her expertise of social work, marketing, community outreach, and most recently as founder and CEO of her wellness company, Migliaro Consulting, to serve a wide range of individuals and communities. She's a self-starter and entrepreneur and prides herself on her ability to form long-standing relationships and connect those individuals with resources and others as necessary. She has the ability to provide quick turnaround results for her clients and brings a refreshing and charismatic energy to her audience. So welcome, Melissa, and thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. I'm honored to continue working with you. We have known each other for quite some time, and I'm super excited to see so many people chiming in, because that's a great sign already, knowing that they are wanting to give the best back to their employees. So this is a fantastic way to do so.
Absolutely, for sure. So to get started, we're going to talk about culture right now. And being that this is our first webinar of the year, even though we're in February, but just a little pulse check of what is your organization's culture priority for 2023. So let me go ahead and select that poll and launch it. Okay. So what is your culture priority for 2023? And culture isn't, or what I should say, culture used to be, or hopefully it's not anymore, just the way things are done around here, right? But that's not what culture is, and we all know that. It's about the best companies recognizing and seeing and valuing their employees. So showing employees that they're cared for and valued, enhancing employee development, focus on diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging efforts, enhancing connection and well-being, expanding wellness initiatives. So we'll give it a couple more seconds.
That's a great first question.
Yeah, just a pulse point of where everyone is right now. Okay, we're going to go ahead and close the poll, and I'm going to share the results. Are you seeing those results, Melissa?
Yep, just popped up.
Awesome. Okay. So at the top, show employees that they're valued and cared for. Absolutely. That should absolutely be number one, to be seen and heard and valued. Followed by well-being. And I think that's certainly the audience that we have today, but that's always great to see. And then enhancing employee development and performance management. Wonderful. Followed by enhancing connection, belonging, and focus on diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging efforts. Okay. Any thoughts on those, Melissa?
I mean, I suspected they would be in that order pretty closely. And again, that's a great sign, because the people that are on this call today are hopefully listening to their employees. And we'll talk about that throughout today's webinar, but that's probably the best thing that you can do. And I sense that they probably have a good handle on what the employees want in their own companies based on that poll.
For sure, and that's important. So there was a Forbes article that came out in January, and it was the top 10 HR trends for 2023. And number one listed was employee well-being is human imperative. And I think for sure that for those of us on the call today, we know that and we understand that, we see that value, and embedding well-being into the culture is paramount. But what's kind of different, I feel, Melissa, and let me know what your thoughts are, that well-being means a lot of different things now than it used to.
It sure does. It sure does.
Yeah.
It means a lot of different things. And then you throw in COVID. I mean, we're kind of out of that tumultuous, what was it, 2 years, 3 years? I think everybody loses track of time, but now we're all recalibrating. So we're recalibrating in our personal lives, and from an HR Wellness League perspective, we're recalibrating not only our position, but whoever we're in charge of in a business. So that's hard. And we're trying to build individual toolkits, which I might say the word toolkit maybe 100 times on today's webinar, because that's what we're doing today on this call, building our toolkit so we can help our employees at our respective companies build their toolkit for well-being, because it's not super broad, but it's a big umbrella.
It is. And what comes to mind, I saw a post on LinkedIn the other day, and it was the well-being iceberg. And at the top of the iceberg, the things that you see are, the mindfulness trainings, the fruit bowls or free fruit offerings, fitness challenges. But well-being, what it really is, are all of those things under the surface, which are autonomy, purpose, respect, support, clarity, systems, processes, equity, value. All of those other things is what we now know collectively is what employee well-being is.
That's right. So, it makes it individual work, which then makes it teamwork, which then makes the company work. And that's ultimately what we want.
Absolutely. And that's a lot to do. And Melissa, I want to thank you for just saying that what, in this role that so many of us on this webinar are in, that's a huge task. That's a huge undertaking, and it can be hard, and it can be extremely challenging, and it can be a struggle.
It can, yeah. And I would guess too, we probably should have thrown this poll in the webinar, but oftentimes the decision makers or the people implementing these programs put themselves last, and it goes back to the air mask on yourself first. So we have learned that over the last few years, that the great people on this call are putting themselves last sometimes just because they're balancing a million different tasks. So now we're focusing some of our attention this year on some of those manager leadership type trainings, because we got to make sure you guys are taken care of first. And because if you're not taking care of yourself and you don't have that buy-in, it's a lot harder to implement for your employees.
100%, 100%. So let's go into the next poll, talking about well-being. What is your current focus for your organization this year? What are you looking to expand, or what do you want to do more of? Is it meaningful benefits, supporting the whole person that is the employee, safe, connected culture, listening and responding to employee needs, or empathetic leadership? So you can only answer one, I believe, for this question. And we'll just give it a couple.
We make it trickier as the workshop goes on.
If I was more technological savvy, I would try to do that. Oh, it takes enough out of me just to navigate this GoToWebinar toolbar. Yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and share these results. And number one at the top, which is great, supporting the whole person that is the employee. And I think that's been such a realization, maybe as even the silver lining coming out of COVID is, when everything happened, you were working from home, and you saw you saw people
That's right.
in their homes, you saw the kids, you saw the dogs, you saw the chaos, and it was in your face. You had to start looking at and supporting not just the employee, but
That's
who
right.
they are as a person and everything that they bring to the
That's
table.
exactly. And I knew I would be shocked if this wasn't, if the second line item down wasn't number one, because you're right. During COVID, we got to see a transparency with ourselves and employees on a whole different level. And I think a piece of the well-being puzzle that popped back into corporate wellness, at least from what we've been seeing, and Amanda, you and I have talked about this loads and loads of times, is mental health. I have seen that prior to COVID, mental health was just, we didn't really talk about it that much. And there was that stigma, and there still is a stigma, but now we've had a lot of requests for mental health and work-life balance. Those have been some pretty high up trending requests, but it's so important. It is so important, just as important as nutrition, is that focus on mental health. And that's the piece of the puzzle that's popped back in.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank goodness, because it is so needed. It is, everyone is impacted in some way, for sure. And,
Mhm.
I think before it was just, a single program or a single, month of focus. And now we know, and many organizations are doing this, that it needs to be a consistent focus. It needs to be at the top of your initiatives and doing it on a consistent basis.
That's right. Consistency is key for any type of change, and just making a positive impact. Consistency is key. I mean, we do it every day in our daily lives, so why not in the corporate wellness world?
That's right. That's right. Okay, this is our last poll. I know that we hit you guys with a lot, one and all at once, right to start off, but this is the last one. And please feel free again to, all right, let me go ahead and launch this, to put any comments in the box of anything that's not listed here. So what are the current struggles that you are seeing employees face? And you can choose more than one for this. I know that I definitely
Mm-hmm.
answers for this question. So what are you seeing as the current struggles within your organization, your department? Wow, these numbers are just really jumping and jumping and jumping.
This one's going to be a hot one.
Yeah, it is. And I think, these are the current struggles, and there is a lot going on. We'll just give it about
Mm-hmm.
one more second or
I
two.
would guess that there's nobody on this call that hasn't had at least one or more of these struggles in the last 6 months.
Absolutely. And GoToWebinar only gives us 5 boxes. So if you, oops, there we go. So if you have another struggle that you're seeing, please go ahead and drop that in. We definitely want to hear from you. So at the top is burnout, next by rising healthcare costs or the complexity of navigating benefits and solutions or resources, financial stress, mental health, lack of flexibility in the workplace.
Mm-hmm. And Amanda, I don't know if are you able, if we were to ask everyone on the call, so financial stress is pretty high there too, and burnout, which is not surprising. But for some of the people on the call, can you chime in? Are you hearing your employees? I know you're hearing them talk about burnout, but are you also hearing your employees talk about financial stress in their personal lives? I just wonder if that's a topic that they're hearing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Go ahead and drop that into the chat or the question box. Sometimes our question box doesn't pull up, but yeah, I think it's all of these things. And I feel like, again, what I said when we opened the webinar is each time we have one of these sessions, there's another thing to tack on to this list.
Mm-hmm.
And there is so much going on. So as we're thinking about the current struggles that employees are facing, how can employers navigate these issues and what can they do? Because certainly, people are looking for more and they need more, right?
That's right. Yep, that's right. And that's honestly, that's a great segue. I think we're close to the consistency slide. It's a great segue into like what can employers do? The first thing is listen. And we did talk about this earlier a little bit, but listening and having a handle on what your employees need and what your management team needs, that's step number one. Because there's so many times where I have been in meetings and they're like, well, what can you do for us? I'm like, well, I really can't do anything. It's what do your employees want? Because employees really drive your wellness program. They will tell you what kind of workshops that you need to put in place. It's only then when I have that feedback sitting with their team, we can look at their budget, we can look at the employees' needs, and then we can do step number two. Well, we have it backwards on our slide, but you know, step number two, which is planning ahead and mapping out the year. Because the more we plan ahead as leaders for our team, it's easier that it won't get pushed aside, it's on the calendar, and consistency is just a natural outcome. So listen and plan ahead. And that goes for anything in life. I don't care if you're working or in your personal life. Listen to yourself, listen to your team, and plan ahead and utilize resources. And that's what we love to do, is provide those resources for companies to make the employees happy.
Absolutely. And yes, we should have flipped them in this slide, because number one, it is certainly listening to the needs of employees. Now, Melissa, you and I were talking about this actually before we started the webinar, but what are some different ways that employers can listen to their employees, or you know, what are those tools and techniques they should
Yeah,
do?
well, the natural, I'm hoping everybody's done employee surveys before. Anonymous is always a great way to go, because you don't want employees feeling nervous to give their input on what they're looking for. So survey is always a win. And then just spending time, whether it's with your team or the other leaders that you're working with, just spending time. If it's a Zoom call, if you're back in the office, that's great. I love in person. Zoom is a blessing, obviously, because there's people across the country here, but just spending time, going for a cup of coffee, you know, that is the best way to listen. And just keep it simple. You know, we're not reinventing the wheel. We're just coming back to basics here. So just listening over a cup of coffee or Zoom if you have to.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. More of that informal setting is when people let their guard down and really share, and it's that moment of connection. Now, when you say planning ahead, and I know for those of you who don't know Melissa, she's a serious runner, and not only a serious runner, but I mean, she will fly by you and is the one on the podium for her age group at the big races. But so she's a planner, is my point. You don't get to that podium without being a planner. But when we say planning, what does that mean? You know, where do you really see the success? Is it, and what is the overall goal of planning ahead?
So you're never too late. And I say that because there might be someone on the call that hasn't started with a wellness program. So you're never too late. Whatever day you choose to start, it's fabulous. But the more that we can plan ahead, the more we take the time to appreciate collecting data and really fine tuning that step number one. So we're listening. And then the next step in planning is finding a trusted resource, whether it's someone like myself or your healthcare providers, looking at those offerings and pairing the right resources with your employees. And that takes time, but protecting your time, blocking and planning ahead always results in natural consistency and productive workshops that will promote change and efficiency within the organization.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So in Melissa is the best at really understanding a culture and their needs and pairing those those resources that are really going to make an impact. And she knows everyone, so she can bring in such customized solutions. So I switched to the puppy because we all need a good puppy picture.
Oh,
But
it's a puppy on the screen. I can't see the slides, but I know which slide it is. So
yeah, puppy's on the screen. So
yeah. Well, I was gonna talk about this company. This is one of my favorite clients because they have puppies, truly. It's a company called Kurt J. Lesker. They have a fabulous wellness program. It's based off pillars, so mind, body, finance, things like that. But at the beginning of each year, they do a spirit week. And one of those days, we just bring in fun relaxation things. You see puppies on the screen here, and we brought in compression boots, which if you've never been in a set of compression boots, I highly recommend. Which is, I think, the next slide too. But yeah, because they know the importance of having something simple like puppy love and relaxation is just as important as their leadership trainings earlier in the week, their financial workshops that they have for the employees understanding their 501k. You know, those things aren't really exciting. So you have to, it's nice to do a good job balancing the fun and the maybe kind of boring workshops that are still important, but it's all about that balance. So they do, Lesker does a really good job year round with their employees, and they're pretty consistent. We plan out early for this company. We sit down typically at the end of October or November of the prior year, and then we map it out. So it's also great for someone like myself getting those experts to save the date, you know, so that's another bonus of planning ahead.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, hold on. I want to make sure that everyone is seeing my screen because I don't know if you are.
Yeah, if you saw the puppy, chime in.
I just saw the message, and now I realize I don't think people are seeing their screen. Okay. There we go.
Yeah, that's so those are compression boots for anyone that's not seen compression boots. We just have employees sign up, for 10-minute windows there, and I think the previous slide is the puppy.
Yes, I'm going to go back to the puppy. Hold on. Now seeing the screen. Thanks. Okay. Thank you, Sandy. I appreciate it. Oh, good. Thanks, Caitlin. Goodness gracious. Look at me. I have 2 months of not doing a webinar and then I don't show my screen. Okay,
it's okay because these are the most important slides, truly.
Now we can see it. I swear. Okay. Everyone's getting a copy of the slides and this entire presentation and the recording. So you're gonna get the content. It's coming to you.
Yeah.
There's the puppy. Yeah, it's not just us talking the whole time, guys. Sorry. Okay.
No.
There are things to see. Oh my goodness.
No worries.
Okay. Now getting back to you, I'm gonna back up the slides since again no one saw it, but in talking about planning out the year, mapping the year out, listening to employees, Melissa, I think what's really great about your approach is that you offer workshops and you offer a series of workshops. Can you just expand upon that and discuss why you offer your resources that way and what outcome that brings?
Sure. So everyone on the call will also get a copy not only of the slides, but we put together what I think is super helpful. It's our 2023 Wellness and Wellbeing booklet. So that is it just gives you a good overview of who we work with and what we do and some of our preset packages. So Amanda, you mentioned some of those 3-part series. We know that with most topics, you're not going to be able to promote change or fill people's toolboxes with information in just one workshop. So that is typically why you see maybe a 3 or 5-part series. Now there's certainly standalone workshops that can be effective, but we know just over the years and just it's evidence-based that you need more than one workshop to get in front of people. So that is why we spend time with our partners. We call them partners. Those are all the experts, dietitians, physical therapists, looking at what's trending, what's important, and really customizing those preset workshops. Now, that being said, there are companies that need customized programs too, and obviously we do that. So it depends on what the need is of the organization. If we make it easy sometimes, if you know you need a preset package, it's great because we know that those packages work, but it's always good to customize if you're just hearing a mishmash from your employees as well.
Absolutely. For sure. So I think that's what's great about your solutions is that it is a series, it is a focus, and it gives the time for the participants to practice what is taught and then come back together because that's important. That's right. You know, and just being in my previous role as director of wellness, and people would, you know, come in for their lunch and learn, and free lunch is really why they were there. I mean, let's get to it. It was a good lunch though. So get to their free lunch and listen, but then, you know, they just go. And you don't really know what impact that has had in the long run. So by offering a series,
and the more we know about who our audience is going to be, we try to take the time to make sure it's the right presenter, because truly sometimes we have presenters that are just better on Zoom. It is what it is. We have the company that you're looking at now, we have a lot of guys in there in the machine shop. So we're real careful. We're not going to put them through a meditation session because they're probably going to fall asleep. It's a bunch of guys that just don't care about meditation. So it's when you plan ahead, it gives us the time to make sure we're putting, the right speaker in front of your group.
Absolutely. Absolutely love that. So we're going to go to your toolkit now and talk to us about resources, Melissa, and what that looks like for you and what toolkits you put together.
Yeah, so the reason I am able to have such amazing partners, and that you'll see in my booklet and some that just are not listed, is because I spend the time getting to know them, building that relationship. And that's how I build my toolkit for my business. I build my toolkit so I can provide resources to HR wellness leads. And there's a trickle down effect from that, because the more tools I can provide an HR lead, for example, the more resources they have to provide experts in front of their employees that then teach others tools that they can put in their toolkit. I think I'm up to 150 times saying toolkit, but I really drive that home, because if the more robust our toolkit is as individuals and as companies, the more successful we'll be to overcome injury prevention, disease, burnout, stress management, work-life balance. Like that's what life is all about. We're learning every day, we're growing, we're building our toolkit individually. So that's what we strive to do through the expert speakers and partners that we work with.
Yeah. And there is no, by offering so many different resources, each participant, each employee, spouse, partner, if they're included in the wellness program, they're able to customize a solution that works for them. Or, you need different tools, different days. So by having all of those in a box and easily being able to easily navigate where those are and how to use them, it adds so much value to the overall.
It is, and I have to give a plug to Motion Connected. Obviously, I'm very loyal to you, because Motion Connected is a tool that allows us to drop in expert videos, speakers, resources. So people have them on their phone. We know people are on their phone all day anyway, or their computer. So now we have an easy way to say, hey, stay in touch with your health and wellness and your well-being. You could show your spouse at night at dinner. So, I mean, if you're on the call and you haven't had a demo with Motion Connected, I highly encourage you to. It will make your life easier, and it's just another toolkit that people literally have in their pocket.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, and thank you for that. And what we have found at Motion Connected is that well-being programs or initiatives are kind of the gateway into benefits and resources. So if individuals are going to their phone and they're going to the app to do the tip of the iceberg well-being program things, looking at those mindfulness trainings or checking out how many steps they got in a day, or to do a meditation, what we can also provide is a message board with key messages for employees and customized messages from the employer, from the department. It can also be a benefit solution and resources. It's a one-stop shop so that they can then navigate to their EAP or to their dental provider and find information that they need there for themselves or for their family. So again, just keeping it as easy to navigate as possible, basic solutions that everyone needs, for sure.
That's right. That's exactly right.
So let's dive into 5 areas of support that everyone can focus on this year. And this is where we're going to give Melissa and her clients and all the amazing things she does time to shine, because there's really a lot here and there's a lot of value. So focus number 1 is on philanthropy. And Melissa, also, what what value does that bring to an organization and the employees?
There's loads of value. And Amanda, I'll actually say Mascaro Construction is really what shed light for me on the fact that philanthropy absolutely needs to be included in your wellness component, because your company culture understood the impact and the value of giving back, whether it's time or money. And that's why we started rolling it into our wellness programs, because we realized Mascaro wasn't the only company. There's other people out there that know increased morale comes from getting out in the community to volunteer or fundraising. The pictures that you're looking at here are from Special Olympics Pennsylvania fall event called the Uncathlon. So it's typically corporate teams of 5, and they're paired with the Special Olympic athlete. But prior to the event, we encourage companies to fundraise. So we give them education about where their money's going and unique ways to do that within the organization. And it's just feel good. Everybody on the call knows it feels good. And that's what we're supposed to do as humans, is give back. And if you can financially, that's great. But if it's only volunteer hours, that's also great too. You're not going to see angry people coming from giving their hearts back to others.
Absolutely. And it can be my former manager used the term time, treasure, or talent, really giving employees the opportunity to get involved, whether it's through time, whether it's through financial donation, or through their talent, and not just offering different options within the wellness program, and these are certainly great, but also giving employees an outlet, whether it's through PTO, giving time off for charitable events or community outreach really goes a long way as well.
Yeah, and there's a sense of pride too. I mean, I was with a company earlier this week, and they're trying to implement that into their programs. And there's a sense of pride when someone's volunteering and someone says, "Why are you here?" And they say, "Oh, my company allowed me to be here. They promoted it." So there's something to that pride as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So next area of focus for 2023, and we've brought this up a lot so far in the call, is mental health and stress. So it certainly continues to be an area of focus. Obviously, it continues to be a struggle or a challenge. So Melissa, what resources are part of the toolkit here?
Yeah, so mental health, I don't know if you disagree, man, I think we're going to see this trending for probably the next 2 or 3 years. And by trending, I mean people are more accepting talking about it in the workplace, talking about it among leaders, but then also getting programs in place, because at one point or another, we're all out of our mind about something. It could be the person you're behind on the highway. It could be a more serious concern that you're having as a family or in the workplace. Life happens. So we have to push that and drive that hard. And that comes by means of workshops. So the education, building that toolkit, and then more practical applications. And by that, I mean, is it on-site meditation? Is it on-site yoga? What are some of those, I guess tangible would be the word, tangible ways that they can say, okay, I understand I need to calm down. What ways can I calm down? Because not everyone loves yoga, not everyone loves meditation, but let's teach everybody what options are available. Let them try them. And then that way they know what works for them.
For sure. And I think going into those resources, this certainly looks different for everyone. When we think about the term, I don't like this term, but you all know what I'm talking about when we say self-care. And putting your oxygen mask on first and caring for yourself first, then your best self for the world and to go about your day. And again, that looks different for each person. It looks different day to day. But by having those resources available, it definitely makes a big difference. One of a motion connected client, I'm just going to throw this in because I think it's fitting here. The national EAP utilization rate, I think, hovers around 4%, and this is through Mental Health America. So it's low, for various reasons. individuals aren't utilizing the EAP. What one organization did was message consistently through the Motion Connected app about the benefit, what it is, how it's anonymous, the different types of resources available, that they're available not only to the employee, but also to their family as well. And then broke down the access of an EAP, because that is also cumbersome. So by posting the phone number, the website, the name as of the company it's listed for the EAP solution, as well as the passcode. And by being consistent with that, they raise utilization rates to 8%. So even, many organizations have these. It's utilize the benefits and resources that you have, but you got to make sure they're communicated. And yeah, I forget, I saw recently, it used to be 6 to 7 times people needed to see a message for it to really stick. I think we're up to 12 at this point.
Not surprising.
Yeah.
I want to say one more thing about this slide too. I know I talked about it earlier, that we're putting more focus on making sure the leaders and managers and decision makers are taken care of, but especially with this mental health and stress component, you have to lead by example here. So I always use this analogy of back-to-back meetings. Again, it's like my toolkit. I'm like ad nauseum saying it, but if you're a leader or manager, you have to stop back-to-back meetings. And you'll hear some of my partners talk about that, because your employees are watching. Even if you are in a hybrid model, they can pick up when you're stressed, and it's just not effective. So again, mental health and stress has to be, you have to have that buy-in by leaders and managers for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, I know that we've discussed this just recently, but turning off your brain from this meeting to go into this meeting with a different area of focus, but I don't work that quickly. And so even by ending meetings at 1/4 till the hour or 10 till the hour, most meetings could be an email.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah. That's exactly right. And we've seen, we have a great company, I won't name them, but ended up being more of the managers kind of just spitballing at the end of a workshop. And they were so stressed out, and they weren't taking lunch breaks because they had back-to-back meetings, and just simple things. It's not, you have to put fuel in the car. You have to eat. I'm a big fan of eating and drinking. So
yes,
I love to promote that.
So next area of focus, and we talked about this a bit at the beginning, is financial well-being. And Melissa, you have a very unique workshop for this, if you want to expand upon the elder care solution.
Yeah, financial well-being, I'll roll estate planning into that. I lost my dad 2 years ago, and this is how this workshop really came to be. Because growing up, my parents always taught us exactly where their money was, where they wanted to be buried, and all of that. Now I'm blessed that I own my own business that I can navigate when my dad was sick, going back home, making sure everything was taken care of. But we were so fortunate to have everything in place with their estate and the living will. And when he passed, and I started having these conversations, because I'm just listening to people, there's people working jobs that are raising kids, taking care of their parents, and they're not talking about it with their employer. They don't know where to go. So we're trying to, again, normalize that in the workplace. So we offer a 3-part series. It's I think I titled it Estate Planning 101. But again, you'd be surprised to hear some of your employees are dealing with aging parents and just don't realize that there's options out there to maintain work and take care of themselves and their parents. And we want to provide that education from experts like attorneys.
Absolutely. And bringing those experts in and really creating a path for employees, giving I'm going to say it, giving that toolkit and being able to plan ahead. Because financial stress is one of the greatest stressors that individuals are facing. So being able to offer that solution and take some of that stress away.
Absolutely.
Such an impact.
We should have done a little account every time we said toolkit. It might have been kind of like a fun game.
We should have. Great shadow. All right, next area of focus is navigating healthcare. And we talked about this a little bit in focus too with mental health, but Melissa, what do you see? Can you expand upon this?
Yeah, healthcare is not sexy, but it sure is frustrating. We can talk all day about how annoyed we are with not getting through on this line, not understanding our benefits. So we're really looking at resources to bring in front of employees to teach them about how to navigate their benefits, understanding what their copay. Some people don't understand copay. I mean, when I think I understand it, I don't, you know. So it's just those basic things. It's low-hanging fruit, but it makes all the difference when someone gets sick or just needs a preventative checkup, which if you can navigate the healthcare system and understand that it's easy to get preventative checkups and sometimes it doesn't cost you anything, it's really important and goes far, and it doesn't cost you anything.
Absolutely, and that's actually the next or a new initiative for Motion Connected is to really make better healthcare consumers, because employers and organizations are certainly dump so much money into this, and these benefits are so needed, but the majority of us, myself included, don't understand the benefits or what the terms mean or what how to get the most out of these benefits for sure. And it's frustrating. It can absolutely be frustrating for employees. And I like what you said, Melissa, touching on the prevention is certainly key. And for those of you on the call who are maybe don't even have a wellness program or are looking to do things with your wellness program, go to your benefits. Go to your benefits and max out what is offered, because a lot of those carriers will come into your organization. They have their own speakers. They have their own. They have different solutions. They have a concierge service, and it's really about messaging consistently. Again, back to consistency. Letting employees know what they have.
That's right. Absolutely push them. Don't be afraid from your position to push them. It's their job. And that's what they need to be doing. So push them and get them on your schedule.
Yeah. Okay, last up, area of focus for 2023, and that is employee engagement. So we talked about this a bit, but looking to your leadership and showing that social connection as incentive. So Melissa, I'm going to turn this over to you because you say all of this best.
Well, starting from the top down, it's definitely starting with the leadership. And again, everyone on this call it believes in it. So that you understand it starts from the top down. And then hybrid or not, even if we have really fun, unique ideas to have that social connectivity, even if you're on a hybrid model. So we've adapted to ways to make that social connection happen, because at the end of the day, even if you love working from home, we're all human. We love to be around people, see people, and that's just a great incentive too. So if you are back in the office, there's a million different ideas you can have to create that in-person social connectivity. And I think we have some pretty fun ideas. Amanda joined me for a webinar last year. It was our virtual wellness day, and it was like a little party. It was a virtual party. I'll say the word scripted softly, but the company selected specific topics to educate their employees, or 15 minutes. And then we dripped in fun games and ways to engage the employees that were all stuck at home on their computer. So we have virtual trivia that we can do. If you think of it, we could probably do it. So if you don't see something on my booklet, I haven't come up with it yet, or I'll create it. But it's really important. Engagement is so important at the end of the day. I said at the beginning of the workshop, have a Zoom with someone if you can, go in person, have coffee, listen to your team. That's it. Listen. They will tell you exactly what they want.
Absolutely. And I think two things is that, coming from initially, my area of focus was in personal training and physical fitness. And you're taught right away, you don't teach or program for yourself. You program for what is needed, and you teach to what is needed, right? So again, I think just a good reminder is that we're not offering these programs for us. We're not offering these programs for necessarily the high hitters, heavy achievers in fitness and wellness and overall well-being. Is that you need to hit on everyone, right? You need to, it needs to be inclusive. And second of all is that, you know, there budget cuts are happening. Unfortunately, layoffs are happening, and incentives for wellness programs are being cut. But, you know, there are definitely unique and creative ways to offer incentive. And one of the biggest ones, as Melissa said, is having that social connection. You know, through Melissa's workshops, through the virtual events, it really adds so much value for employees, and it doesn't cost anything. And just to piggyback on what you said about the virtual health fair, I've put on dozens of these myself, organizing myself. This virtual health fair was the most fun and the most engaging of anything I've done before. There was a DJ, people are dancing on the Zoom and in the calls, there's trivia, people are screaming when they win. Oh my gosh, it was like, it was over the top. It was so fantastic.
It was fun. It was a good reminder that I need to brush up on my Name That Tune skill set.
That was fun. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So just to wrap up, if anyone has a question, please drop those in the box. We'll answer all questions. But Melissa, when we're thinking about overall culture and for organizations and facing their current struggles, what tips do you have that individuals can take their organization to the next level?
Being on this call is a great first step because you're ready to go from good to great. So again, kudos to you all for being on this call. The next thing is looking at what do you already have. Some companies have you might have resources in front of you already that you're not utilizing. So start with I always say low-hanging fruit. Start with the low-hanging fruit. Talk to your providers. If you need to reach out to someone like Motion Connected or myself, that's what we're here for. But taking those baby steps and then looking at how you can plan ahead after you listen to your employees. It's, again, very simple, simple, simple. It's what is not the analogy, but the KISS. Keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
Stupid's not a nice word, but maybe it's KISS with one S. Keep it simple. You don't have to make it complicated. You're already wearing 500 other hats with your position, most likely. So sometimes wellness goes lower on the list, but if you don't put it first, you know, everything gets out of whack and the train is off the tracks.
Yes, absolutely. Keep it simple. Listen to employee needs. Okay, we did have a question come in. How does a virtual health fair, how do you do one, and how does that work?
Yeah, so our current virtual wellness day is a 2-hour event. Employees don't have to stay the whole time if they don't want to. And Amanda, I'll include this with our packet so you can send out to participants as well. It has the whole overview. But typically the decision maker from the company will you can select speakers from our preset list. And then we also have the opportunity to drip in anybody from the health providers. If your dental and vision wants to speak, we can drip them in as well. I always encourage a company to have someone within the organization speak. And then it's a party for 2 hours. There's a 15-minute workshop, then we play a game. You can have internal contests, whether you're decorating cubicles or best dressed pajamas. If everybody's working from home, we can really customize those fun components in between the education. They're 15 minutes, they're quick. So they're obviously not heavy topics, but they're great teasers. And I think it's a very fun replacement to the old fashioned wellness day where people come around and, you know, take a free pen and keep walking. You know, Butterfingers.
It's true.
Yeah. So I'll make sure we get the overview out to you. But it is a lot. We have a really great MC and DJ that does it for us in a green room, and it can be recorded if you want, but it's more fun if people are live.
It is. It's very engaging. And Melissa, you also did mention having someone from the organization speak, and just having visible leadership really goes a long way. It really
It
does.
does. Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, good question. Yeah, I'm excited. We'll add that to the packet.
Absolutely. Okay, please feel free if I'm going to go back up to my first slide because I want to show Melissa or show everyone your contact information as well. So thank you all for attending today. Everyone's going to receive a copy of the slides and the recording. Please feel free to reach out to us, connect with us on LinkedIn or via email. And thank you all for being here. If there's any other questions, feel free to drop them into the box. There we go. And everyone will also receive Melissa's PDF as well as of her series and workshops and offerings for 2023.
Yeah, and if Amanda and I love to listen. So if anybody wants a complimentary 30-minute, chat with us to learn more about maybe Motion Connected or some of our packages, don't hesitate to reach out. If you're in the Pittsburgh area, the first cup of coffee's on me. That's what I say.
There you go. Absolutely. And we just like to talk. So as you can see.
All things wellness. Yeah.
There you go. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for the time. Oh, hold on. Let me click my questions. Oh, thank you. Great webinar. Awesome. Thank you, Emily. That's very nice. Thank you all. And have a great day. Stay warm. Get out in the sunshine if you can. And we'll see you soon.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.